The wind howls over the gray expanse of the North Atlantic, whipping icy spray across the bow of HMS Hardy as she cuts through the heaving swells. It is early 1943, the bitter heart of the Battle of the Atlantic, and the crew has long since stopped feeling the cold in their bones, though they still feel it in their souls. The sky is low and heavy, a seamless lid of iron clouds pressing the world into a single band of sea and steel. Somewhere out there beneath those dark waters, a German U-boat is hunting them as surely as they are hunting it. The men know the stakes. Merchant convoys must get through, or Britain will starve. Hardy's captain, Lieutenant Commander Robert Kinloch, stands on the bridge, his oilskin coat snapping in the wind. His eyes are narrowed against the stinging spray, but his mind is locked on sonar reports filtering in from the Aztec room below. "Hold course, steady as she goes," he says quietly, almost to himself, but the helmsman hears and obeys. Down below, the ship is alive with the muffled throb of the engines and the chatter of men trying to mask their unease. In the mess, stoker Thomas Elwood cups his hands around a tin mug of tea gone cold, thinking of his wife's last letter, the paper worn soft from being read too many times. "Soon as we send Jerry down, maybe we get a spell ashore," he says to his friend, able seaman Jack Hargreaves, who smirks but doesn't answer. Both know the truth. These waters rarely give anyone a spell ashore without taking something first. The sonar operator's voice cracks over the intercom, tense but controlled. "Contact bearing 185. Range 2,000 yards and closing." The bridge stiffens like a wire-drawn taut. Kinloch raises his binoculars, scanning empty water. He doesn't expect to see anything. U-boat is invisible, silent except for the faint trace caught in sonar's net. "Action stations," he orders. And the calm routine of the hunt turns to the electric hum of battle readiness. Men run to their stations, boots pounding against steel decks. Below the waves, unseen, U-553 glides silently through the dark green gloom. Inside her narrow pressure hull, the air is thick with diesel fumes and sweat. Oberleutnant zur See Karl Hoffmann listens to the rhythmic pings of enemy sonar reverberating through the steel skin of his boat. He knows they have been spotted. His crew moves with grim efficiency, sealing hatches, adjusting trim, whispering clipped German commands. Tiefenruder's Wanziggrad runter. Dive planes adjust and the U-boat slips deeper, trying to vanish into the cold black. Hoffman's heart pounds, but his voice stays even. "They will not find us." He has said it before. Sometimes it is true, sometimes it is not. On the surface, Hardy swings into her attack run, her stern lifting and falling in the winter swell. Kinloch grips the voice pipe. "Depth charges pattern 9 stand by." The first charges tumble from the rails, heavy drums tumbling into the sea before vanishing into foam. Moments later, the ocean erupts behind the destroyer in a thunderous bloom of water and smoke. Below, the detonations slam into U-553's hull with gut-punch force, throwing men against bulkheads, instruments shuddering. A light bursts, plunging the forward compartment into flickering shadow. Hoffmann steadies himself, calls for damage reports, listens as his engineer shouts over the roar of rushing water in the aft section. "Seals holding." The man yells, though they both know for how long is anyone's guess. The destroyer circles back for another run. The crew can feel the rhythm of the hunt nauping, maneuver, release, detonate a deadly dance in which one mistake means death. Hargreaves works the depth charge loader with practiced hands, his knuckles raw from cold and salt. "Come on, lads, let's put 'em under," he mutters, though his mind flashes to a moment from a year ago, when his brother's ship never returned from a hunt like this. The second spread goes in deeper this time, and the sea answers with muffled booms. But this time there is something else, a strange, hollow thud from Hardy's own stern. Kinloch doesn't need the engineer's report to know what happened. One of the depth charges has malfunctioned, detonating too close. The blast has cracked Hardy's hull plating near the aft engine room. Cold seawater gushes in flooding compartments. Pumps roar to life, men scramble to seal bulkheads, but the list is already beginning. Kinloch knows what this means. Hardy is bleeding out in the middle of the Atlantic, and the U-boat is still out there. Over the intercom, he hears the calm but urgent voice of his chief engineer. "We've got flooding in 3 compartments, sir. We can hold her for now, but not forever." Kinloch weighs his options in the span of a breath. They could break off and try for the convoy. But the U-boat is wounded, perhaps fatally, and if they let it slip away, it will return to kill again. "Hold course," he says at last, voice steady. "Hey, we finish this?" His men hear it. No. The captain will not abandon the hunt. Hardy lurches back into her attack pattern, engines straining against the weight of incoming water. Down below, Hoffman hears the faint grind of propellers overhead. Closer now. He orders a turn to starboard, but the U-boat is sluggish, her trim uneven from damage. Fresh spread of charges drops, each explosion closer than the last. The hull groans like a living thing in pain. Pipes burst. A spray of freezing water cuts across the control room, and the lights flicker. Hoffman grips the periscope handles and closes his eyes for a heartbeat. Back on Hardy, the taste of victory is sharp in the crew's mouths. The sonar operator calls out, "Breaking up noises, sir. She's going down." There's a cheer, ragged but fierce, from the men at their stations. Kinloch exhales for what feels like the first time in hours, but the moment is short-lived. The flooding in Hardy's stern is accelerating, and now the aft bulkhead is beginning to give under pressure. The sea is winning. Kinloch calls for an abandoned ship order. It is chaos and discipline all at once. Lifeboats swing out on davits. Men slide down ropes into the black water, their breath stolen by the cold. The wounded are lowered carefully, hands trembling not from fear but from the freezing wind. Elwood feels the Atlantic clamp around him like a vice, every muscle seizing, but he forces himself to keep moving, kicking toward the nearest raft. Above him, Hardy lists hard to port, her bow rising as the stern slips under. Kinloch stays on the bridge until the last man is away, the wind tearing at his coat. Only then does he climb down into the waiting sea. Moments later, Hardy is gone, her screws flashing briefly in the gray light before vanishing into the depths. As the survivors cling to their rafts, the ocean stretches endlessly in all directions, indifferent and immense. Somewhere below, U-553 lies silent on the seabed, her crew entombed in the cold dark. Above, the men of Hardy watch the horizon, waiting for rescue that may be ours or days away. The wind carries the smell of salt and diesel, the only trace of the battle that has just ended. In the days to come, a corvette from the convoy will find them, hauling the half-frozen sailors aboard. Some will never recover from the cold, others will return to the hunt, because the war is far from over. Kinloch will write his report with steady hand, recording the kill and the loss in the same matter-of-fact tone. Yet in quiet moments, he will remember the faces of his men against the steel light of the North Atlantic, the sound of his ship's last heartbeat before the sea claimed her. And in the broader sweep of history, the story of Hardy will become one of many destroyers that hunted the hunters, sometimes returning victorious, sometimes not returning at all. But for those who lived it, the memory is etched deep. The relentless pursuit through freezing seas, the moment of triumph, and the knowledge that in the Atlantic, even the hunters could be claimed by the cold.